She just wanted to win a video game for her kids. She drank water, she smiled, and she died with her brain drowned. From the inside out, Jennifer Leah Strange was 28 years old, a mother of 3 young children, and had a heart that was far too generous. She lived in Sacramento, California, and like many single moms, she was constantly trying to do everything with very little. One day she heard a radio contest that sounded silly but tempting. Drink as much water as you can and win a Nintendo Wii. It was January 2007. She thought of her children, thought of their smiles, and decided to take part. What she didn't know was that the challenge, which only seemed odd, was hiding an almost invisible risk, but one that was absolutely deadly. If you're drawn to stories like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But be warned, what you're about to hear defies logic and medical science. It was just another morning in Rancho Cordova, a quiet suburb of Sacramento. Jennifer got up early as usual. She made breakfast for the kids, tied the youngest one's sneakers, and dropped them all off at school. On the way back home, she turned on the radio. She wanted something light, something to distract her from the heavy routine. Tuning in to KDND 107.9, her favorite pop hits were playing. But that day, what caught her attention wasn't a song, it was an announcement. Want to win a Nintendo Wii? Join our challenge. Hold your Wii for a Wii. Whoever drinks the most water without going to the bathroom wins the console. Jennifer smiled. That was it? Just drink water? She had heard far more ridiculous things before, but right then, her mind was on one thing only, her kids' eyes lighting up when they saw that video game. She called the station, got a spot, Jetarar. The contest would take place live at the studio, along with a few other participants. Lied. No money involved. No contracts. Just the promise of fun, and a prize every kid in 2007 dreamed of. When she arrived at the station, she was greeted with enthusiasm. The hosts were joking around, laughing with listeners on air, and proudly showing off gallon jugs of water like trophies. Jennifer looked calm. She even took a smiling photo with a small bottle in hand, but there was something no one mentioned. Not the DJs, not the producers, not the contestants. What happens to the human body when you drink too much water? The first rounds were easy. Every 15 minutes, another glass. Jennifer laughed, chatted with the others, even joked, I feel like I'm pregnant with water. But as the challenge dragged on, the smiles faded. Some participants gave up. Others began to complain of nausea and dizziness. Jennifer stayed, steady, quiet. She wanted to win. Outside, no one imagined what was about to unfold. One listener even called the station live on air and warned, this could kill someone. There's something called water intoxication. The hosts laughed. It's just water, buddy. And the game went on. After nearly 2 hours, Jennifer was visibly uncomfortable, her belly swollen, her eyes heavy. She whispered to another contestant, my head is pounding. I think I'm gonna pass out. No one took her seriously. Jennifer came in second. She didn't win the console. She simply thanked everyone, walked out of the studio slowly, and left. At the door, one of the producers joked, coming back tomorrow for a rematch? She smiled, weakly, and replied, today was already too much. Hours later, her husband found her collapsed on the bedroom floor, unable to speak. He called for help, but the damage was done. The game was over. But the nightmare was just beginning. At first, it felt like nothing more than discomfort. Jennifer came home exhausted. Her belly was tight like she had swallowed a balloon. She called a friend and said with an awkward laugh, I feel like I'm going to explode. I think I overdid it with the water. But soon, the lightness vanished. A different kind of headache set in. It wasn't a normal migraine. It was an internal pressure, rising steadily, as if something inside her skull was pushing outward, trying to break free. Sounds became distorted, lights too bright. Her mouth was dry. Ironically, after drinking so much water, she tried to lie down, to breathe deeply. But the discomfort wouldn't go away. She felt nauseous, tried to vomit, but couldn't. Minutes later, she began losing coordination. She dropped a glass, collapsed in the hallway, Her husband, Billy Strange, thought it was just weakness. But when she started having spasms and speaking incoherently, he called the hospital. On the way to the ER, Jennifer trembled. Her eyes were glassy, her skin cold as marble. At the hospital, doctors tried to make sense of it. No fever, no signs of infection, no visible trauma. They ran blood tests, an ECG, a CT scan. And then, something raised red flags. Her sodium levels were dangerously low. It was a condition called hyponatremia, when too much water dilutes the body's sodium, creating a deadly imbalance. But what had caused it? Billy explained. She was in a water drinking contest this morning for a video game. The doctors exchanged glances. Suddenly, everything made sense. Water, the same substance everyone calls the essence of life, had become, for Jennifer, a silent weapon. Hyponatremia affects the brain most severely. When sodium levels drop too quickly, cells begin to swell. Even brain cells, trapped inside the skull. With nowhere to expand, the brain starts to compress and shut down vital functions. Jennifer was slipping into a coma. The doctors tried to administer a saline solution, but it was too late. Her brain was already being crushed from within. Billy held her hand and whispered, "You're going to be okay, honey. You're going home. The kids are waiting for you." But no response came. The woman who, just hours earlier, was smiling in a radio studio was now fighting for her life. Inside, her body was drowning, not from lack, but from excess. And in that sterile hospital silence, a new kind of terror emerged. What if all of this could have been prevented? While Jennifer was fighting for her life in a hospital bed, something even more disturbing was happening outside those walls. No one, not the listeners, not the hosts, not the people in charge, seemed to grasp the seriousness of what was at stake. At the radio station, the atmosphere was entirely different. Laughter, jokes, and a certain pride over another successful event. On air, one of the hosts even joked. One of the girls left feeling a little dizzy, but hey, no one died, right? That laugh, in this context, was cruel. Because at that very moment, Jennifer was no longer responsive. She was unconscious. In a coma, her body had been sending signals. But those signs were ignored before, during, and after the challenge. According to witnesses, Jennifer told the radio staff that she wasn't feeling well. She said her head was pounding, that she felt like she was going to throw up. But in the studio, they laughed. "You're not going to die from a little water, are you?" That line, lighthearted, almost casual, would echo like a curse just hours later. There had been more warnings. A caller, who was a nurse, phoned in and said clearly, "This can cause hyponatremia. It can kill someone. I'm serious." They heard him, and yet they went on. Jennifer wasn't the only one who felt sick. Other participants also reported dizziness, nausea, blurred vision, but the thrill of the game seemed to drown out common sense. The hosts, including a DJ named Trish, even remarked, "They all signed a waiver, so it's fine." But it wasn't. The waivers didn't mention the risk of death from water intoxication, and the producers never consulted a doctor before creating the contest. Back at the hospital, doctors were still trying to reverse the damage. Chaffrey, it was like trying to stop a wildfire with a glass of water. Me dexpias blah. They knew the window was short. If her brain swelled any further, there would be no way back. Billy, sitting beside the bed, still couldn't understand how everything had happened so fast. Just hours earlier, Jennifer had been laughing. Now, her body was silent. He called Jennifer's mother. She arrived at the hospital in tears, in shock. No one could believe it. A healthy woman, young, a mother of 3, took her kids to school in the morning, drank water at a radio station, and now was caught between life and death. Her body had screamed, but no one listened, or maybe no one wanted to. That same afternoon, while doctors were racing against time, Jennifer's phone kept vibrating. Unread messages, missed calls, 3 children at home, waiting for their mom. Billy, her husband, looked at the device. Jennifer's last message was there, like a time capsule, a simple text sent to a friend. "My head is pounding. I feel weird, but I'll be fine." But she wasn't. Night fell. The hospital machines beeped, more slowly now. Jennifer was no longer breathing on her own. And the brain swelling, a direct result of hyponatremia, had reached the point of no return. The next morning, the doctors delivered the news. No hope. Jennifer's brain had suffered irreversible damage. Billy couldn't accept it. But it was just water. Just a game. The children arrived at the hospital. Too young to understand what that bed, those wires, that silence meant. The oldest asked, "Is she going to wake up?" No one answered. That same day, the news broke. Woman dies after water drinking contest held by local radio station. The story stunned the nation. Hold your wee for a wee became front-page news. It was no longer just a strange promotion. It was a scandal. A mother had died in the name of a video game. Messages of outrage flooded in. Healthcare professionals explained what the radio had ignored. Yes, too much water can kill. And no, it's not a joke. Behind the scenes at the station, panic set in. The hosts began deleting posts, wiping recordings, but everything had already been archived. The final recording, made during the show, captured the hosts laughing when Jennifer joked that she felt pregnant with water. It also captured the listener's warning about hyponatremia and the dismissive response. She signed a waiver. "It's all good." It wasn't. Billy, heartbroken, decided to sue the radio station. Not out of revenge, but for justice, for the children, for Jennifer's memory, for the next person who might unknowingly drink themselves to death. For fun. Jennifer's last message wasn't sent in fear or anger. It was a quiet warning. "I feel weird, but I'll be fine." She believed that. She trusted that behind the microphones and jokes, there was responsibility, but there wasn't. And now, the whole world was watching. Far too late. The official report was clear. Death by water intoxication. Cause: acute hyponatremia, resulting from excessive water intake in a short period. Jennifer didn't suffer organ failure, wherein it wasn't a heart attack, it wasn't an allergic reaction or a medical error, wherein it was water. The same substance most people consider a symbol of health. But what really happens when someone drinks too much? The human body needs balance. Salt and water work hand in hand. When we drink too much water, we dilute the sodium in our bloodstream. In an attempt to restore balance, our cells absorb the excess water. They begin to swell, even brain cells, and the brain, locked inside the skull, has nowhere to expand. The result is devastating. Increased intracranial pressure, seizures, coma, and eventually, brain death. Jennifer consumed roughly 7.5 liters of water in just a few hours, without urinating, without breaks. All of it in hopes of winning a video game. Radio station KDND 107.9 was sued. During the trial, it was revealed that staff members had been warned about the dangers. One producer even wrote in an internal email, "Could this actually kill someone?" And yet, the show went on. In 2009, 2 years after the tragedy, Entercom Sacramento, the company that owned the station, was ordered to pay $16.5 million in damages to Jennifer's family. The station lost its license shortly after. The show was canceled, the hosts were fired. But none of that brought Jennifer back. She wasn't the victim of a rare disease, nor of a lab mistake. She was the victim of ignorance, negligence, and of a society that sometimes turns everything into entertainment, even pain. Water, the symbol of life, became the cause of her death, and it all began with a cup and a prize. Jennifer Leah Strange died trying to do something sweet, bring joy to her children. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't careless. She was just a mother trying to get through life with what little she had, and she lost. Not because of a lack of love, but because of a lack of information. Because she trusted that, in a world of adults, someone would have the sense to say, That's enough. But no one did. Jennifer's story became a warning, taught in medical schools, discussed in ethics classes. But for her children, it didn't become a lesson. It became absence. It became silence at breakfast, an empty space in the school pickup line. The radio station was punished. The world moved on, but one question remained. How many tragedies are born from things that seem harmless? How many more deaths will we dismiss in the name of ratings, entertainment, and going viral? Jennifer wasn't a statistic, she was a life. And now, she's also a warning. A reminder that even water can kill, that even a game can be deadly, and that sometimes, the real danger hides in what we all assume is safe. What if it were you in that studio? Your mother in that hospital bed? Your name in that medical report? If this story moved you, subscribe now. Medicine still holds mysteries you need to understand. And some of them are hiding in plain sight.